We are here with Roger Scarlett-Smith, who's an independent advisor following a long career in healthcare, both in Europe and in the US. Roger, what makes AMCs a partner of choice when we think about research, innovation, and so on?
I think reputation is very important because, clear evidence of publication history, in many cases specific academics who've got an international profile, ability to demonstrate that they can collaborate, because not every AMC has got the same flexibility when it comes to working with partners. So, over time you develop a network of people that you can rely on, and often it's a long-term relationship. So you almost over time forget how the whole thing started, but you're into a longer-term type of approach and relationship.
So, with that as context, how do AMCs strengthen industry perceptions, but protect the trust that they have, and also manage perceptions of commercial influence?
Yeah, there's always this dance, I guess you could call, between the devil and the angels, with the AMCs standing for ethical probity and academic independence, and the commercial organisations often perceived as being self-seeking and money orientated. And the truth is that they have to find a way of collaborating in the middle of that space, because they both need each other in order to succeed. The AMCs, in order to have real scale impact and to fund the studies that they want to do, will need to collaborate with commercial organisations. And at the same time, commercial organisations absolutely have to understand that they're operating in a highly regulated environment, one that requires the utmost of integrity and ethics, and that in the end of the day, the data and the evidence, it needs to be the critical factor that supports the relationship. If both sides of the equation can really understand how they can get the best out of each other rather than looking for ways in which they can trip up, then that establishes a platform for trust. But it does take work, you have to earn it.
So if they can get it right, what are the kind of opportunities that lie ahead of them?
Well, I think for AMCs, the biggest opportunity they've got is to have a broader impact, well beyond their own individual kind of patient group, and even beyond a regional or even national level. The top AMCs in the survey are reputed around the world, and the multiplier effect of what they do can be influential for literally millions of patients, or billions even. So, in order to approach that level of impact, they will need to collaborate, and that's just the truth. So whether it be with pharmaceutical companies, which is in the case of my situation, whether it's with educators, whether it's with regulators, whether it's with any number of stakeholders, they have to reach out beyond their academic disciplines and find a way to potentiate their impact. And the best ones will do this with confidence and with experience and embrace the opportunity. But I do believe that quite a few AMCs are somewhat naive in their approach and do not quite understand yet how they can impact and really drive their opportunity for better funding and more impactful science through appropriate collaboration. So I think there's a gap, there's a real opportunity to move forward.
Okay, so we can't talk about opportunities without talking about risks.
Yes.
So what do you think are the key risks that they should be thinking about?
Well, as I say, I think it's transparent that commercial organisations have got commercial interests. And so, ensuring that there is a strong separation between those commercial interests and the academic interests in the way that the relationship is set up is very important. So some level of arm's length treatment is required. On the other hand, it's really important for AMCs to understand that what they're talking about is having huge influence in a kind of economic ecosystem of healthcare, and knowing the value that they can deliver into that system will will enable them to approach relationships with a view to mutual benefit, and finally to create the resources and impact that makes a real difference for patients.
So, you know, part of what you've done in your career is worked at huge scale with partners like Johns Hopkins,
Yes,
for
yeah.
example. What does that scale teach us about reputation, responsibility, risk, and those types of things?
Well, you know, we're talking, the people at the top of the survey are used to collaborations. So this is not a new thing or novel situation for those AMCs. They are sophisticated, smart and competent operators outside their narrow academic footprint. I think this is really more of a call out to the people further down the scale, if you like, the people who could have the opportunity to find new sources of funding or to ensure that their academic breakthrough work really reaches an audience and a public that's well beyond their expectation. They're the ones who can step up, I think, and be more proactive in how they reach out for partners and become easier to deal with when it comes to partnerships. So, and have less inhibition, in a sense, about how they can operate across this culture of academics and medicine with commercial and communication. But the whole equation has to work, okay? Mm-hmm. When it does work, it's beautifully productive, and you have extra funding coming in for academic institutions that they can really do some great work with, or they can help fund startups, which then not only create breakthrough products that meet the patient, but also can help fund further work. So really understanding that ecosystem of and the continuum between the leading edge, cutting edge academic work and how it lands with millions of patients and consumers around the world. Understanding that and really having confidence to navigate that is I think an area which we could all benefit from. Me as a patient, me as a consumer, it would be great for me to know that the leading academic institutions are really defining the best practices to be followed around the world. I really want that to happen. I know that's not the case. And that's a risk for all of us. Talking about risks, the biggest risk is that we don't get this right as a holistic approach.
So what's the one, I guess, piece of advice or message that you would give to this community thinking about that risk?
I think understand the level of mutual self-reliance that's there. It's not necessarily always acknowledged. Things are seen as rather tactical collaborations, or yes, we can work with these people for a short period of time, but or we can fund this particular study or whatever. I think there needs to be almost a more holistic grasp of the world of healthcare is one which is highly fragmented. There's a lot of misinformation out there, many different sources of data, and that can be approached by consumers or academics alike. And having sources of authority that are credible, that reach into to patients and consumers. Which they can trust with confidence. That's a huge potential benefit and a huge impact that people can have well beyond their academic disciplines.
Thank you so much.